Okay. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes. Perfect. Amazing. Well, I will get going because I'm not too sure. I think something's dropped off there. But I will get going by introducing myself. So I'm Chloe and I work at Atom Learning. I've been at Atom Learning for just over 2 years. And I've recently been really putting all my energy into our tutor portal. Now, we've had our tutor portal for a little while now, but we have been recently trying to invest lots more time into that platform. I've been talking to lots of tutors. I've been looking at the feedback that's come through, and we've been really trying to hone in on exactly what it is that tutors really want, really need, and how we can best facilitate that. So I'm going to start by walking through the tutor portal from a tutor's perspective, but I will also show you at the end as well how students see it, because I think that's really important that everyone is really aware of how each participant uses the platform. And as was already mentioned, please do just let me know of any questions as we go through. I'll try and make it super comprehensive and we'll go into any bits that you will find more interesting and more useful. So I'll start by sharing my screen. Okie dokes. Can everyone see this okay? Fab. So welcome to the Atom Learning Tutor Portal. Now, this is the tutor portal that everyone will see when they first register. And that is because you likely don't quite yet have a student that is registered to the platform. It will be your tutor portal ready to kind of get going as you wish. So the first thing that you will have is you will see a demo student on your dashboard. Now, this is to just give you a bit of information, a bit of an idea of what your tutor portal is going to look like when you do start using it with your clients. So you'll see here, you get a high-level overview, which clients are online, what their year group is, and you can go into more detail here as well. I'll show you that when we actually go onto a portal that has a client, so you have a little bit more context. Any questions so far on that?
No. I honestly don't know what you do. Start from that, please.
Of course. So we work with Key Stage 2 children, and we essentially give access to content covering maths, English, science, verbal and non-verbal reasoning. So all of these key subjects, the fundamental subjects that will likely come up in any 11 plus or entrance exams that they take in year 6, we support with. So we'll see a little bit more detail about how we support with those subjects as we go through the demo. But essentially it's there for parents, for students to be able to work through content across those subjects. And we also use an adaptive algorithm. So for anyone who's not too sure what that means, it essentially will be working with students. So as students are working through specific concepts, looking at different skills within each of these subjects, they will be either mastering certain skills or they're finding certain skills a little bit more challenging. As we know, every child is unique, every child is different, and they work at their own pace. So what we do is we ensure that the adaptive algorithm works with children in each skill at their own pace. It's going to challenge them in areas that they're really excelling, but also work to support them at a pace that's suitable for them in areas that they're finding a little bit trickier.
So I'm going to ask a tutor-focused question, but you don't have to answer it just yet. In the same way that every student is unique, every tutor is unique as well. And so I think one of the things that we'll be looking for is to show how the tutor can make use of Atom rather than just being replaced by Atom.
Of course, yes. And I think that's a really good point to make, because what we are diving into with this tutor portal is we're really looking to work with tutors. We want to make sure that we're focusing on actually what is it that you need that's going to make your lives easier, that's going to, increase efficiency, allow you to really analyze your students' work and where they are, and then construct your lessons in the best way. So it's all about kind of how you're going to best use these features. So yes, any questions and any feedback is great as we go along. So when you do first sign up, you will see this page here with the demo student, so you get a little bit of an idea on what that will look like. Now, we'll go into this in a bit more detail when I move over to the portal that has a client attached, but for when you're getting started, you will just need to invite your clients. So this is the page you'll see. All you'll need to do is input your client's email into this form here and click the invite button. That will send them an invite to register. And when they do register, you'll automatically be linked to their account. So you'll be able to see all of the work that they're completing, and you'll be able to set them specific work as well. Now, as I mentioned before, this is all based on the Key Stage 2 curriculum across those fundamental subjects. And you'll be able to set what we call custom practices, which are specific pieces of work that can be used in lessons or for homework. And I'll go into that in a bit more detail in just a moment. And we also have mock tests. So for anyone that is tutoring a child that is preparing for any type of test, whether that is entrance exams, the ICB, 11+ exams, or SATs even, then we have mock tests there suitable for them as well. And I'll also touch on those as we go through. Underneath that, you will have an area where you can specifically review the work for your student as well. Now, when you do refer a client, you will see this page, which, as you can see, is very similar to the previous page. We just now have the name of a student at the top here, as opposed to a demo account. And as I mentioned before, you can still see that high-level overview. You can see how many students you have, the year group they're in, whether they're online, and how long it's been since they've been online, if they're not online at the moment. Now, this is really useful. I know that a lot of tutors have really enjoyed this addition to the platform. Parents, when they do sign up, they are paying for this subscription. So it's really useful to be able to see kind of how that's being utilized. You can use that to form recommendations as well. Now, underneath, we have the set work section, and this is one of the main sections that is used by our tutors, of course, as it's on our dashboard. And the first area is setting the practices. And this is used by almost all of our tutors on a very regular basis to set work for lessons, but also to set work in between lessons for homework as well. So what you can see here at first is you'll be given the option to set a suggested practice. And this is where our algorithm comes into play. So it's going to identify some of the topics that currently your student is finding a little bit more challenging, and it will give you a recommendation. Now, I know that most of you will be using this to facilitate your lessons, and you will already be very aware of the topics that you want to go through, the skills that your students need to focus on. So for that, we have the custom practices.
Hold on. Sorry, let me just ask you, I feel like maybe I missed this. Was there any sort of diagnostic test that was offered in terms of the suggested practice?
Yes, so the suggested practice is based on the work that's already completed by the student.
So when I take on a new student, is there a diagnostic test as part of ATOM?
They can absolutely take a test. They can also go through learning journeys, but I will also touch on kind of what they can do when we move over.
Warned. I'm a disaster. Keep going.
No, of course. Continue to ask away. It's always useful. But yes, they will be able to go through any separate work, so they can access work through their student portal, or of course, any work that's set by you initially. Now, when we go on to the custom practice area, this is where you'll be able to filter through all of the subjects. So we have, as I mentioned, English, maths and science, as well as the reasoning topics, so verbal and non-verbal reasoning. When you've selected the subject, you can then select the year group. It will be automatically set to the year group that your student is in. But this will allow you to see all of the topics that we have across all of the year groups. And then you can open up those topics, open up the subtopics, and you'll see really specific skills that you may want your child to focus on. So you can select those. You can select as many as you want. Generally, we recommend 1 to 2 per custom practice, because you'll get that analysis data afterwards, and it's always great to have that focus. When you've done that, at the bottom, the only thing left to do is to add a title. And then you can set a due date as well. So generally, we recommend setting for homework due dates the day before or a couple of days before your next lesson. And then you can review that before you go into that session with your tutor, with your student. And then the last section you have at the bottom here is, of course, to adjust the number of questions you want them to work through in that particular set of questions. And if they are coming up to a test or an exam at school, or they want to be focusing a little bit more on timekeeping and time management, then we have a time limit option. These are optional. You don't need to put that on. And then at the bottom, we have the 2 modes that you can set custom practices in. And this is really useful for all of our tutors who are using Atom, both in lessons and for homework. The first mode that you may want to use is tutor mode here. And what that will do is that will allow you to safely work with your student on any of these topics. And as I mentioned before, when our adaptive algorithm is working, it's assessing how your child is, or how your student is responding to questions. If they're getting them wrong, the questions get a little bit easier to work at the best pace for them. If they're getting them right, then we gradually increase that difficulty, so it's really matching their current attainment. Now, if you're on tutor mode and you want to work through those questions with your students, what we don't want is the adaptive algorithm to think, oh, they're acing this, they're getting 10 out of 10 right, let's bump that difficulty up, when actually that's with your support. So if you select tutor mode, that's going to pause that algorithm. It's not going to count this towards their attainment data. Is going to allow you to go through these questions and really give that significant support to your students where it's needed. On the flip side of that, we have test mode. Now, test mode is for students that are preparing usually for an exam. So anytime that you want to either be testing their knowledge or ensuring that they're sitting these questions in test conditions, this is the best mode to choose. So that will remove any of the help resources that children have available when they're working through questions. And I will show you those help resources when we're on the student portal. But it will remove those. And it won't tell the students which questions they're getting right or wrong until the end. So they can very much be kind of concentrating on going through those questions with or without a time limit, and that will mimic the test conditions they should see later down the line. Now, if you don't want either of these and you want them to just work through work independently with those help resources, but without having those test conditions, you can set neither mode and you can click the set practice. And when you set that practice, that goes straight into your students' to-do list. And when they log in on their side, they'll see it at the top of the screen. So I'll set that now, and then we can have a look at that on my student's profile in just a moment. Any questions on that set practice area?
There are lots of questions, Chloe, and I will bring them to your attention, but I actually want to see the meat of it. I want to see what the actual experience looks like for a student.
Great. So before we go on to the student portal, I'll also show you how you can set the mock tests, because these are the 2 main features that we have tutors setting on a regular basis. So if we click on this button here, you will see we have tests across all of the major entrance exams and testing facilities that schools use. So we have, for example, the ICB, We have grammar school entry as well. That includes GL style tests. It includes the Chem Select as well. We also have independent school entry tests. So these mirror some of the internal exams that children can expect to see. If you know that your student is working towards a specific school and they have a target school, you can start to type that in. Oh, it's logged me out. Apologies. You can start to type that in there. And it will come up with a recommendation for you. If you're still not quite sure, then please do get in touch with us. We also offer all of the recommendations based on student target schools as well. Now, when your student has completed any of these practices or tests, you will see that data in your dashboard, and you can see that at the bottom here. Now, you will see any of the custom practices they've completed and also any of the mock tests as well. Now, the best feature for tutors, and the feature that we see them praise a lot, is the transcripts, because that's going to give you that meaty, granular insight into how all of your students are performing. In custom practices, you'll see which questions they've got correct and incorrect, and you'll see all of the information about what they were asked, the answers they gave, and the explanation that they were able to see afterwards. You will also have access to those help resources that they saw as well. So you can see exactly what they saw when they completed.
So, sorry, Chloe, this is the first time I've actually seen what the child, is this what the child's view is, these green bars?
No, so this is still what you're seeing as a tutor. So when they have completed their work, which we'll go on to, this is what you will see to enable you to kind of go through those questions. This is very similar to what they will see, of course, because we want you to see exactly what the student is seeing on their side as well. So these are the questions they answered. You will also see on the right-hand side the time that it took for your students to answer each of these questions, which is very useful. We often see lots of 3 seconds, 2 seconds in custom practices where there have been lots of answers incorrect. So it's really good to see how your student is kind of working through questions as well. If they're rushing, then perhaps that is kind of the reason behind some of these incorrect questions. And then for mock tests, as your students complete those, this is where we give you kind of really granular data on how they have performed. And one of the things that I think is really important if you are tutoring a child that is going to be taking an exam through the 11 plus or is going to be taking an entrance exam at all, is looking at the standardized age score. For a bit of context, the standardized age score is taking a student's raw score and then adjusting it on this scale relative to their cohort, so how they're performing. And an average would be 100. The top 1% would be scoring around 142. So here you will see a little bit more context how your child is scoring in the standardized age score. And we also provide a bit of a breakdown in terms of the specific skills they worked on. So which areas were your students really excelling in? I can see here extending a pattern was a topic that this student here was really excelling in within this particular test. And then 2D shapes was the area that came up the lowest. So it gives you that information on a test-by-test basis as well. Now underneath, much like the custom practices, open up those questions, have a look at what those questions were, how your students answered, and any of the ones they didn't quite get correct. That will really help you with kind of analysis on what was the logic here, how were they thinking. And it's also great to go through these with students as well. We find in the homework sessions that are set, tutors will often get these transcripts up and go through them with students at the start of the next session. Any questions on that at all? Or shall I keep going for now? And then
Yeah, do keep going. I'm collecting the questions for you.
Great. Fab. So before we move over to the student portal, just super quickly, you will see these tabs along the left-hand side of your screen. Most of these we have gone through, but just to highlight to you here, we've added recently a resources tab, and this will allow you to review the resources that children get access to as well as they're going through their questions. So you can search by topic or by subject, but you can also use these drop downs. So if you know that you're looking for a non-verbal reasoning help sheet here for a year 5 student, and you want that in 2D shapes, you can see here all of the help sheets we have for that specific skill. So you can open those up, and here you'll see what a child sees. Now, this is the help sheets they have access to as they're working through both their independent work and work that you set them as well. So it gives kind of helpful tips and tricks, methods as well, which you may find really useful during your teaching, but children will have access to these, as will you, to support with any sessions. Fab. And then lastly, as we move over to the student portal, as I mentioned at the beginning, when you do send any of your clients an email to register to the platform, you'll be able to track those here. So if you have, say, 5 students and you want to invite them all to this Atom platform, you will see any pending invites, and then you will also see a table underneath for any accepted invites, anyone that has registered. Now, you will be able to offer your clients 10% off their first month, and you will also receive £15, 15% of the earnings each month that come from those subscriptions. So you'll be able to track that there.
Some of the questions that we had in the thread were about exactly that. Miralee, have we answered your question now? How does one get referred to sign up to the platform? So that no, that's not your question, is it? Lucy, you asked the linking of the tutor account and the Lucy, do you want to unmute yourself?
Yes, I just have 2 questions actually. So historically, I had a school account. This was from like pre-COVID when tutors could have school accounts because I was doing a lot of home education. Now, every time I try and change over to a tutor account, it doesn't like it. Because it still thinks I'm a school. It doesn't let me onto the school thing. So it's just a blank screen. So I haven't been able to access the tutor portal for a long time. What can I do really with that?
Well, it's likely that the best option for you would be to use, if you have a different email address, just to register for that instead. The school platform and the tutor platform are slightly different, and we've invested a lot more into the updates for the tutor portal. So that would be the best platform for you to use as opposed to the school one moving forward. So I would say probably if you have another email address that you can use to register for that, that would be your best bet, or you can get in touch with us. We can absolutely support you with that. We do have email as well.
Super. And then I think the other question, I'm just actually going to read it out from the chat. So basically, if you have a student, because we have loads of students who have signed up because we've told them to, for example, so I assume that if they've already signed up, then it doesn't start giving you the 15%. Is it only for new signups?
That's right. So it's for any referrals that we get through the tutor portal here. We can absolutely link them to your account, so you will be able to kind of use the tutor portal to its fullest here. You'll be able to see all that data and obviously set them work through that.
And how do you communicate to tutors who are using the portal? Because I appreciate, obviously, we've not been able to get onto the tutor portal, so I might just not have seen communication. But, for example, how do you communicate to the tutors that what they can say to like get people to sign up and things?
Yeah, absolutely. So in the parents' email email section here. When you send that, or when you click that invite button, a pop-up will appear where you can send kind of a personalized message with that email. The email that goes to those parents will have all of the information they'll need on registering. However, we do send regular communications to tutors that are registered, just with any additional information. We do also have a support line for tutors as well, and a support email. So it's all dedicated to ensuring that tutors that both work with Atom or externally are kind of kept in the loop with the updates that we make, and how best to utilize this platform.
And then, sorry, I just have one other question while I'm off on mute. In terms of when a parent signs up, so say a parent goes on, they've been referred by their tutor, but they just like don't click the email, they just go on via Google. Do you ask them if they've been referred? Do they have an option to click that they have been referred by a tutor using the portal?
Yeah, absolutely. So the other option you have is at the bottom, you will have a referral code. So anyone that you share this code with, when they sign up, there is a section that they can input that code. So they'll be able to add that there, and they're recommended to do so as they're registering. So if it's something they haven't had a link through via an email from you, but they do have your code to hand, then they are able to put that in.
Okay, perfect. That's great. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Hey, so that was the billing question, but Miralee, you asked, how does one get referred to sign up to the platform so that the tutor assessment can be undertaken? Is that what you meant, Miralee? Feel free to unmute yourself and speak. Okay, she'll come back to us when she's ready. I'll message her separately. Please go on and show me what the actual activity looks and feels like for kids.
Perfect. Right, so let me...
Mark, to answer your question, this is Key Stage 2. Anna, I'm going to bring up your question at the end. And also, Miralee, you asked a very juicy question earlier on that I'm going to bring up at the end. Lucy, I hope you'll be around for that, because I have a feeling you're going to have an answer to it. We make everyone work hard round here, Chloe.
Good to hear. Right. Apologies. If there are any other questions while I'm getting the student portal loaded, then please let me know.
Okay, Miralee says that her microphone's not working. So if you could, I'm not entirely sure I understood the question. Miralee, feel free to rephrase it, and we'll see if we can understand what you need to know.
Yeah. I think she might mean how do you get on to the tutor portal, but you just can Google it, can't you, and just type in Atom tutor, and then it you sign up for your free portal thing. I think that might be how she was.
And I have a feeling that Chloe will give us some special links and unique codes and discounts and treats by the end of this session. So stick around, or it will be available in the recording afterwards.
Yes, absolutely. And just to kind of echo that, in case anyone was questioning this, the Tutor Portal is absolutely free to sign up to. So if you register to that, you will have that completely free, and you can obviously refer clients using that, but you don't have to pay to access a Tutor Portal. So this here is the student portal. Can everyone see this on my screen?
Anna's just signed up this minute. Well done, Anna.
Great to hear. Hopefully you'll be able to have a little look as well then on your side. But in the meantime, this is what it will look like for any of your clients that register when you refer them. So here we can see the student portal is split into 3 main areas. Now, at the top of the screen here, you can see the to-do list, and this is for any work that you set your students, or that has been set for them by a parent, or if they have their account linked to a school, as mentioned earlier, homework will appear there as well. Underneath that, you have what we call the learning journeys. This is accessible to all students that register. And this is where they will see the full breadth and depth of the curriculum. And that is using kind of an adaptive algorithm to show them that journey. We'll go into that in a bit more depth in just a moment. And then at the bottom, you will see what we have here are extra activities. And this is to kind of bulk out what the students have access to. We have the practices as we're seeing on your tutor portal. So students will be able to, if they complete homework by you and they think, actually, I'd love to have a go at a few more questions on that topic, they can do that through this method. And we also have the lesson library here, which really interestingly has been brought up in quite a few conversations I've had with tutors recently as something that they weren't aware that we had, but actually is a really useful feature there as well. So that's the main breakdown of the student portal. Now, if we go back to the top here, what you will see is your student has a kind of avatar that they will be able to dress up as they go through that platform. So a lot of you will, I'm sure, be working with lots of children in Key Stage 2 who really need that engagement, that entertainment, and they want to enjoy the work that they're completing. And in order to do that, we have what we call an atom shop. As children are working through questions on the platform, for every correct question that they get a coin. And they can spend those coins on their student portal here, buying different items that their mascot here, Atto, can wear. And they'll be able to see how many they've earned along the way. So a great way for all students to keep engaged and really enjoy the work that they're doing. Now, under that, we can see in the to-do list, this piece of homework that I set a few moments ago for the child. Now, if we click on that here, you'll see we very quickly get taken to the set of questions that I applied to the student's account, and we can just get started straight away. When we click that Start Now button, you will see the first question appears. Now, it's really important that you're kind of aware at this time that all of these questions are going to be some form of multiple choice or shorthand, and they are going to be continually adapting to the child's answers that were previously.
Sorry, what's shorthand?
So any kind of 1-word or 2-word answers, there aren't any kind of essay questions just yet. This is all multiple choice or short. So as they're going through these questions, these are not a set 10 questions that I've set to the student. The first question is set. The next 9 questions are dependent on how the child is answering. So that's where it's really important to be kind of making sure we're adapting to the child as they go. Now, when they click on an answer and click submit, you will see here they're given
E as well.
Sorry.
Lucy, I was going to go E as well. Lucy, what were you going to go?
I have it on a very small screen, so I wasn't actually looking at the question.
I complete the question.
My life is non-verbal at the moment, guys. I can't. I need a little time. My office time is like my.
Oh, so funny. Sorry, Chloe. We're tutor nerds. Go on.
That was fine. So they'll see obviously whether they got that question correct, but also importantly, the explanation underneath, which is going to give them bullet points, more information. But for our younger users who may not want to do that reading, we have help sheets and videos as well. So if we open up that help sheet, as we saw, I think this is actually maybe a very similar one to the one I clicked on before, but we have this non-verbal reading help sheet with some tips.
Right.
And we also have a short video, one on the method that should be used in this type of question, and also a practice question. So we're making sure that this is not just a testing platform, they're also learning from these mistakes as well. So if we open
I want to actually hear the actual voice
of the video.
I do. It makes all the difference, you know it does.
Can you hear it? I'm not sure.
Odd one out. Method. In this video, we're going to look at how to approach non-verbal reasoning questions that ask you to look at a group of shapes and pick the odd one out.
Yeah, he'll do.
This question.
Amazing. So those are the types of resources that the children have available as they're working through those questions.
So I'm getting a sense of, because Anna asked earlier up in the thread, she said, why is this not just, hi, Merrily, nice to see you. Why is this not replacing tutors? And I'm beginning to understand how the tools are used in conjunction with the adult.
Yes, absolutely. And it is really important. I think that we're not building a platform here, and I actually don't think that would be possible to build a platform that's going to completely take away from a tutor and from really the analysis and the one-to-one aspect that a tutor can offer. What we're doing is making it really easy for the tutors to be able to analyze that, but also give the support to the student as they're working through that homework that's been set.
Absolutely lovely. Lucy, go ahead.
I just had a question on that actually, because one of the things that a couple of my students have found a little bit confusing is that obviously in the holidays and all the time actually on their portal, there's like a little banner saying click to book a tutor. So I just wondered, like, is that something you're not going to continue doing? Is that not really worked out for you? Or is it like, is if a tutor has a student using it, will you not show that? Because I'm unsure of how that's not competition for tutors.
Yeah, absolutely right. So we do work with tutors. So anyone that is or any client or not or non-client, so any parent that signs up independently to the platform, if they do want a tutor, if they are looking at one-to-one tuition, we can offer that through the platform. So we have tutors that we can offer to people who are signed up to Atom. But if they already have a tutor, then that's not something that we advertise to them.
So then the banner wouldn't be there as long as the student is linked. And what happens if you're linking a student who already existingly works with you? Will that banner then stop?
If we're linking a student who...
So imagine I've got a student right now, for example, who has an Atom, has had it for like 3 years because I told him to get it, but I didn't have a tutor portal, right? So if I've just signed up now, I've just sent his mum an email saying, hey, you know, she's not going to get the 10% off because obviously she's an existing contact, but I want to see his details on my system, for example. So assuming like he's then linked to my account, she accepts or whatever, then will he stop seeing tutoring banners because he's linked to a tutor? Got you. That makes sense.
That was a really niche question. I would never have known about that. So it's lovely that you have tutors available if a student doesn't have one and need one. And it's lovely that if a student is already associated with a tutor, you will not be recommending Atom tutors to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very wise. Very nice. Thank you.
No problem. Great. Any other questions?
Mirali, did you want to lean forward and ask your question whilst you're here, or is the microphone improved? Oh, okay, go ahead. Okay, we'll work on lip reading. Go ahead, Chloe.
Great. So the last thing just to point out in the set of questions that a child will see is that if they're not too sure, and we know that often children will see a question, they're a little bit unsure, and they maybe want actually to get a bit of a hint first before they attempt the question. For the perfectionists, then we have the hint section under here. So that will open up access to those resources before they answer the question. So it gives them a little bit of a heads up. Now they can click the answer here. And again, they'll get that explanation.
Oh, great. So Chloe, Natasha A has asked, are the tutorial videos for different questions also accessible to tutors, not just the children? So you showed us the help sheet, didn't you? Were the videos also there?
So the videos aren't there at the moment. We have actually just a couple of weeks ago launched that resource section with the help sheets, but the help videos are absolutely something that we want to make available as well. So that's something that we'll be working on in the near future.
Natasha, they're on the way.
They are on the way.
Thank you.
No problem. So when they finished, I won't go through all 10 of these questions, but when they have finished, they can exit there and they'll be able to see how many coins they earned, if they got any questions correct. I didn't get any questions correct this time, but they'll have a breakdown here. They can either have a look at the transcript themselves, or they can go back home. We find most students will go straight back to the homepage.
Please can we see what the transcript looks like?
Yeah, of course.
Unless that won't work here because...
Yeah, absolutely will. So if you have clicked off it.
Same as the summary that we saw earlier.
Yes, absolutely. So same as there. So we see that odd one out here.
Okay, I misunderstood. Usually I thought that transcript would mean writing out the spoken language, but that's not what this is, right? This is a summary of the answers.
Yes, that's right. Exactly. So a summary of those questions they've answered.
And the time taken to answer them. So that if this was a homework set and you saw that a child flew through them and didn't have a good go, that would tell you what you need to know. I'm with you.
Yes. And we find that a lot of tutors will use that to reset specific pieces of work if they maybe want a little bit more of an understanding of really how the child will perform when they're taking their time, for example. But yeah, so that's quite important.
Or let's do this together instead. Or, as you said before, we can set it by time or we can set it by number of questions, yeah?
Yes, exactly. Or both.
Or both. Or I can do it alongside the student because I can see they're struggling. So tell me this, if the program is adaptive after that first question, we're trusting that it's not going to get too difficult. So we're trusting that they're probably able to do it. It's just a question of learning behaviors.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's important to know the algorithm doesn't jump a lot and very significantly during a custom practice. So we'll see this in a little bit more detail when I kind of go through that mastery table.
Lovely.
Which I thought would be better to go through at the end. But you'll see there's, a significant gap there between each of those levels. So we want to make sure that, it's not just a fluke, that they're either getting them correct or incorrect. So we give them that opportunity as well. So just underneath the set work, you will see their learning journeys. And this is split into each of the subjects. We give students a goal of 20 coins per week, and this resets at the end of the week, and they will have specific adjusted goals for each subject in terms of correct questions. So if, for example, a student is finding maths a little bit more challenging, they may have a slightly higher goal for maths than verbal reasoning, or actually not that one. If they're finding it verbal reasoning more challenging, they might have a slightly higher goal than maths, for example, here. So when they open up one of these journeys, you will see this is one of the aspects of the platform that's really loved by students. So they will have an adaptive world that they'll be able to work through. And this will give them new topics, and that is all done through the adaptive algorithm. So if the student is working on combining 3D shapes, it will then take all of that knowledge it knows about how that child has performed, and it's going to show them a topic that it thinks will be most suitable for them to look at next. If we go back here, you can see there's lots of different worlds that children can work through. So that just really helps to keep engagement as well. And at the end,
absolutely adorable.
Very, very cute. And we're always looking to make new worlds as well. So any suggestions on different worlds that children would love?
Famous last words, Chloe, famous last words.
Amazing. So they'll be able to go through those. They have 15 islands per each world, and then they move on to the next.
Fantastic. Lucy, did you have a question?
Yes, I did. Just a super quick one about the worlds, if that's okay. So with a special educational needs kind of hat on, we support quite a few autistic learners who are doing 11 plus and things. Obviously, the learning that they're doing doesn't include science, and they do. A few of our learners do get incredibly like stressed out or worried that they're not getting any coins in the science section because they don't need science, right? So as a tutor, is there any way that we can turn off them being able to see that science is there?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. We do have the ability for that on the tutor side, but at the moment that does not reflect in the student portal.
Okay.
But that is really great feedback that I'll definitely be passing on to the
just because I know it's a bit niche again as well, because I specialize in like supporting autistic learners, so it's something that like where there's the coins and they can see they've got their 20 coins for all the areas, but then I'm like, no, don't do science because you don't need to do science. And then they've got, it stresses them basically. So that would be amazing if it was possible to like just click turn off science so it wasn't visible to them. That would be amazing.
Great, thank you for that. Anything else at all on these worlds here?
I think you can keep going.
Great. So the questions do appear exactly like we saw, and unfortunately I've clicked on odd one out, which was exactly what I clicked on in the tutor portal. Coincidental. So yeah, if they open that one up here, you can see that they have the option to learn, or they can start questions. Now the learn is going to take them through a little bit more of an interactive section, taking a little while to load there, but you can see there they can have a look at different types of shapes. They can adjust symmetry to get a bit of a better idea, orientation.
That's adorable.
So it's a great way to get to see
really
that.
Lovely. Really lovely.
And then, yeah, we have a couple more there as well, so they can open up these.
Really nice.
They go through to the questions, which you can see here, different questions. Even though it was the same topic, we don't show the same question again, but they'll be able to continue to work through those questions there. There we go. And again, they get told the coins. Oh, I can try again.
Did you say earlier that the coins are used to buy the sunglasses?
They are indeed.
Excellent.
Yes. The coins are used here. I've bought sunglasses already. We've got lots of other options.
My kids are sucker for this. Absolutely. They just get absolutely drawn into this, don't they?
Amazing.
Nice kind of gamification though.
Absolutely. And it's something that, we want this to be a really enjoyable platform for children to use, as well as, something that's helping tutors with how they're setting their work and how they're analysing that data. So it's kind of, useful for all parties in that scenario. And then the last thing we have down here that you haven't seen is the lesson library. And this is some slightly longer videos that we have recorded, our education team have recorded, and that goes over, again, a little bit more detail on some of the topics that you will cover with your students. If you know that your student is maybe finding something specific topic a little bit more challenging, maybe fractions, they can type that in here and they can watch short 30-minute sessions going over some more practice questions on those topics.
This, of course, is very, very helpful for a parent supporting children as well.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. But this is something actually we found that lots of tutors do really value in times that they can't have that one-to-one session, or if they're wanting their student to kind of get a bit more information in the way that they're used to doing it with that tutor there.
I think one of the things that teachers use teaching videos for is to prep the lesson. So to practice explaining it super clearly. So, I appreciated very much that question of, are these videos available on the tutor side? Because, if you're new to delivering fractions in Key Stage 2, you want to learn how it's done.
Absolutely.
So there's a training element here, which is lovely.
Absolutely. Great. Well, that was kind of everything on the student portal that would be, useful for you to see.
I would love to know about this blue banner. What happens if we press the blue button?
Yes, so that will be if the student has a lesson that is happening. Now, we at the moment are holding a live lesson through Atom. So if they wanted to join onto that, then they can. I won't do that just while we're on this call, as it might freak Zoom out a little bit. But we do have a live lesson currently going over senior school interview preparation. That's run by us at Atom, and any student is able to join onto that for free.
Lucy has a question
As well.
Yeah, that's the bit that I was asking. When they're assigned to a tutor, does that then go, or does that then stay?
So this will stay. So this is not advertising our one-to-one tuition. So this is not for tutors that that students can use themselves. This is those videos that we have. So the lessons that are recorded.
Yeah.
They have access to, that's when these run live. So we do allow students to jump onto those in a live session, but that is they are not on camera or seen. It's more of a presentation.
Okay. So it's a webinar.
Essentially a webinar, but for students.
And is there an events calendar of those that parents and tutors can see?
Yes, we do have event calendars, and they go out, I believe, usually roughly quarterly, but they will be sent out as well. You'll be able to see. We usually run them in the holidays, so in half terms or in Christmas or summer holidays, just to keep children a bit engaged as well. They're not usually run during term time, so that's just
that's very clever. Okay, very good. We're with you. Are there any questions that we haven't spoken to yet? Does anybody want to unmute and jump in at this point? I think we've addressed all the questions in the chat. Where are you going next, Chloe?
So what I will do is quickly hop back over to the
you mentioned mastery, didn't you?
Yes, so just to give you a bit more of an idea.
Lucy, ask a question whilst Chloe's clicking buttons.
Yeah, sorry, I have really niche questions. I apologize because I obviously do use the platform quite a lot, but obviously before on the parent side. So obviously a lot of our students get the schools are setting them their mocks. For example, a lot of our students this week have just done the London schools have just done their internal kind of mocks on Atom. As tutors, are you able to also, because you have the student linked to you, would you be able to see the results from the mock tests that they did in school?
Yes, so any of the mock tests that are completed through their account are accessible then through for the tutor as well.
Even if they're set from the teacher to the child, we would still be able to then see them from the tutor's point of view.
Yes, absolutely. So I'll show you now where you can access those. So back onto the tutor portal here, you can see my student. We were just on her account. If we click this view button, this will take you through to where you can see much more granular data on what they are doing at the moment. So we can see how many questions they've answered this week. We can view the subjects and what the targets were that were set by the algorithm. You can see how much time they've spent. You can also look at where that is in each day. You can also look at time per question averages. So there's lots of really granular insight you can get into here. And then also you can see how many learning journey islands they've completed, and you can see which subjects they've done that in as well. So if any student has a particular favorite subject and that's what they're going to the most, you'll be able to see that really clearly. Now, underneath, this is the best part of the platform for you guys, is that you're going to be able to see how your student is performing on a high level across each of these subjects, but also more detailed in each topic and each skill. So I can see here, this student is looking strong overall in verbal reasoning, good in non-verbal reasoning, maths and English, and needs some more practice in science. So this is a traffic light system that shows needs practice, good, strong, and master. Now, to get more detail on that, we click View Details, and that will again take you to another layer of depth on how they're performing. Now, you can see here each of the skills that are required under each subtopic in each topic within non-verbal reasoning. So I can see pairing shapes here, currently has a mastery level of good. Sequences currently has a mastery level of needs practice. And I can see when my student last practiced that topic. Now, you can use this to really quickly and efficiently set work. So if we know, actually, sequences, that's the topic that I know my student has been struggling with, and it's showing needs practice here. I want to try and boost this mastery level. You can quickly click that set practice button, and that goes through to that custom practice area with that skill already set. So if we go back to that page here, now you can go across each of the topics like this by moving over. You can see a mastered topic there. And you can go through each of the subjects to see. Now here I can see my child likes maths a little bit less, hasn't been working so much on maths recently, and there's not enough data in all of these topics to give an accurate mastery level. And that's because we don't want to give a mastery level unless we're confident that we know what that is going to be. So it doesn't come up straight away. It does take a few questions to appear.
Just to draw you right back to the front door, Chloe, Mirali's asking, do you need a referee to be able to sign up as a tutor?
You don't, no. So if you Google Atom Learning tutor, click on that first section that comes up, and you'll be able to create an account for free in the top right of the screen. Completely free for all tutors to sign up, and then you'll see that first page that we saw with that demo student linked, and you can invite your clients from there.
You must be going in through a different link. Let us know if you manage, okay? Lucy, question?
Yeah, so it was just actually on that little bit that was a little bit further up with the good needs practice section with the sort of send hat on again. So this is the bit that we find that really stresses children out a little bit, because when they haven't, say, done anything in science and it says needs practice, they're like, but I haven't done anything, you know? So is it, from here, it looks like it would only say needs practice if there's stuff that's done that's below a level, but I don't believe that that is how it works, because we see needs practice on areas that the students have never done anything in. So I just wondered, is that something that's not working correctly, or should that happen? Like, say, if someone's not done anything in an area, would it say needs practice there?
Yeah, so it wouldn't say needs practice. You would see this, for example, here. So I can see that the child has seen that topic, but they haven't answered enough questions for our algorithm to deduce a mastery level. So we definitely don't set a mastery level unless there is data there. It's not set up to kind of have that flow.
So
but
then why would that be then coming up as strong if there's not enough data? Do you see what I mean? Like, you see the title there is strong for VR, then how if there's not enough data? Because I think on all of the areas it says not enough data. Okay, there's one. So that to me is strange that there's not enough data on anything apart from one topic and it's coming up as strong. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, that does make sense. I think we obviously want to give kind of an indication on a high level, so you can see kind of what is expected. But absolutely, it does require kind of at the moment going into each of these topics and deducing actually which areas has this child already worked on. And at the moment, yes, it's just 3 of those subtopics that it's taking into account for this strong level. Obviously, if we gave the not enough data symbol at the top there as an overall, then it would take a long time to be able to kind of give that oversight to tutors. So what we wanted to do is make sure that, as soon as they start getting some data, there is an option there to see it. But we definitely recommend going into this and analysing that in more detail.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I understand it, definitely. It's just something that a lot of the students like kind of get very het up on, is that overall label at the top, and it's like trying to explain to them that they have to kind of go into it a bit more detail is sometimes a bit more tricky.
Well, I'm not clear here. So is this a tutor facing element or a student facing element, this format?
This is a tutor facing element and a parent facing element. Yeah. So if a child is looking on the parent portal or a tutor portal, then it's something they'll see, but it's not from their student portal.
Fine. Mirali, I think you've got to the bottom of it, haven't you? It's about whether or not you can be signed up as an Atom Learning tutor, which is different to being able to use the platform as a tutor. So it's a different question. It's a question about how to become an Atom Learning tutor. Is that right? Chloe, could you take a minute to tell us how to become an Atom Learning tutor, please?
Yeah, so if you are looking potentially for more clients that use the Atom Learning platform, then you can register to become an Atom tutor. So that goes through then our hiring process, and we would take you on as a tutor through Atom, and then we would assign clients that come through Atom requesting one-to-one tuition. So that is an option as well.
Okay, I'm really, really glad we got to the bottom of it. So I guess if you want to pursue that, you can follow that process through and somebody will be in touch with you. Is
Absolutely.
that right?
Yes,
Okay.
so you can just send over your CV and we can we'll be in touch with you there.
Makes sense. Lovely. What's next?
So that is kind of the overview really of the tutor portal and the student portal. But of course, it's always great to kind of have a go yourself. So if you wanted to sign up, obviously the tutor portal is completely free. You can have a look through that. I have recorded a video with a bit of a shorter version of this demo, which is accessible through everyone's account when they sign up, so they can go through that. But then you can obviously start registering and referring clients. That is everything I wanted to show you really in a nutshell.
So I would love to share with you that at the end of this hour, I do actually understand Atom now. So well done. Thank you so, so much. I think that the response in the room has been lovely as well. I know that Anna signed up. Mark had to leave, but he said that it was very helpful. Lucy's very niche questions have actually shown us lots of the applications of this, which to my mind has answered your question, Mirali, about how the platform is used by tutors rather than instead of tutors. And what I'm seeing is adaptive learning, granular feedback. Oh, fantastic. Lucy signed up as well. I will be signing up later and having a good play. So I want to thank you. Thank you, Chloe, so much for giving us this comprehensive tour. And thank you so much to everybody who participated in the question with questions in person or in the chat. I would love to share with you that I am recording the session from the Excel building right now, because we have been visiting here to plan our Love Tutoring at BET event, which is happening at the end of January, 24th to the 26th of January. We would love to have you here either in person or online. We're proud to be able to run this event as hybrid so that anybody can join and participate in the tutor program at BET. If you don't know what BET is yet, it is the biggest global education technology conference, and it's an opportunity to really find out what's happening there. So I'm hoping that Atom Learning is going to be there as well. I'm hoping that Education Boutique and eTeach will be there. I'm really, really proud to be able to connect so many different ideas and insights and voices in tutoring together under the Love Tutoring banner. I would like to thank you so much for participating in this demo. Thank you, Chloe. Thank you, Lucy. Thank you, Mirali. Thank you, Kamal. Thank you, Natasha. Thank you, Kavitha. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Carol. And thank you, everybody who's following on YouTube and LinkedIn. If you want to be in touch with Chloe, you can reach her through Qualified Tutor. There will be an email that will follow up from this with everything that you need to know. Thank you so, so much. Have a great weekend. Bye.